your humanitarian broadcaster.
Just gone 8:38 news and views on Salam Media. And next we are going to be talking, obviously, the BRICS Summit. That's the big talking point and will be for the next 2 or 3 weeks or more. And this time around, we're going to be talking with Mikatekiso Kubayi. He's the researcher at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Morning to you, Mika. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Alli. Thank you so much for having me.
Just call me Julie. That's good enough. Thank you for being here. And okay, there's so many angles to the BRICS Summit and so many talking points. For the benefit of today's discussion, we are going to be focusing on the relationship between South Africa and India. And we have a long relationship with India, do we not? Recently, sadly, for the Muslim community, not only in South Africa, but globally, and I know this is a part, well, possibly even part of the whole issue around BRICS, is the rise, the upsurge in Islamophobia in India. Do you believe that this will be put on the agenda at all? Should it come up? I firmly believe it should. Your thoughts on that matter?
Well, it's unfortunate that today we have to be talking about such things as phobias of one group or another. But the BRICS have a principle, of non-interference. They do not interfere, with each other's internal matters. They focus, on the matters that bring all of them together as a bloc, such as the global financial architecture, multilateralism, trade, cooperation, collaboration, investment, development, and so on. So whether or not they are likely to discuss the issue of India's internal matters is anybody's guess, but I would not expect it to come up.
Okay, sad. That's very sad for me, because I do believe it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and to be addressed in the strongest of terms. And of course, I'm biased because I'm Muslim, so I do hold up my hand regarding that matter. So let's move on then. When we look at the historical background between India and South Africa, we know that India's links with the struggle for freedom and justice in South Africa dates back to the period in which Mahatma Gandhi started his Satyagraha movement in South Africa, which was over 100 years ago. India was also at the forefront of the international community in its support to the anti-apartheid movement. It was the first country to sever trade relations with the apartheid government, and that's way back in 1946, and subsequently imposed a complete diplomatic, commercial, cultural, and sports embargo on South Africa. They worked consistently to put the issue of apartheid on the agenda of the UN, NAM, and other multilateral organizations. Having talked about the historical background, what do you believe is going to be going forward regarding talks on political relations, perhaps? And I undoubtedly defense cooperation is going to come up as well. So let's just go back to the historical background. That does definitely indicate the very strong ties between the two countries.
Yes, you will also recall India was one of the first countries, I believe it would have been in 1961, to denounce apartheid at the United Nations and call for sanctions and so on. It's been a member of the non-aligned movement. There's been trade, between the two countries for a very long time. I mean, the ties are there; they go back ages. Yes, you see, BRICS has both a political and economic dimension. I mean, if you go back to why it was established in the first place, it was established because there was simply wrong, with the global financial architecture and the global governance, the governance of the global economy. And the 2008 financial crisis compounded, what had already been a problem for particularly developing countries, and BRICS emerged, as did the G20, by the way. Prior to that, you'd only have heard of the G7 or the G8, and so on. BRICS emerged to make its contribution, to finding solutions to these challenges, and offer humanity some sort of way towards progress, better, faster, more quality development, and so on and so forth. So all of the countries that came on board into BRICS are large countries, countries with significant economies in their regions and also globally. They had, both an economic significance, but they also had political significance. So you've got two branches, even though the bias was more on, the economy, right, the global financial architecture and so on. But there's also a strong, political dimension, to BRICS as well. Hence, the centrality of the United Nations that BRICS always calls for in international governance, international relations, and global governance. It talks about the United Nations as a center for multilateralism, and so on. There's a very strong political, dimension to BRICS there as well. That's why these countries came together, to do that. They did not come together because they had, old relations with each other. For instance, South Africa also has a long relationship with both Russia and China, right? Long relationship with both of these two countries, particularly in the liberation struggle, a very long one. Both these countries have got, a very long history with Africa. South Africa also has, extensive relations with Brazil as well.
So, Mika, let me come in here. We know that South Africa has strong relations with the majority of the BRICS aligned countries.
Yeah.
I picked on India this morning, but I should imagine, as you just explaining everything to me now regarding our relationships with the other BRICS partners, would similar types of arrangements, agreements, and talks be undertaken by South Africa with the other partners, or will they kind of differ according to the needs on both sides? So South Africa and India would be a particular type of discussion. South Africa and Russia would have a slightly different vantage point, and so forth.
The way they normally do it, you would have the main discussion, sort of plenary, where the heads of state discuss, the core BRICS issues, that are on the table. But then there would also be bilaterals, right, on the sidelines, of these main discussions. So, for instance, South Africa may have a conversation with India, a bilateral with India on the sidelines. It may have bilaterals with other members as well, and including others that may be that are not necessarily members of BRICS, but may be in attendance as well. So there will be both, the main discussion of BRICS, but then there will also be bilaterals. Countries, the heads of state are free to organize and have conversations with each other on the sidelines, outside of the main discussion of BRICS. So yes, there will most likely be, some discussions between South Africa and India, on the sidelines as well. It would probably center around things like deepening relations, trade, and so on, and other cooperation. I mean, for instance, there may even be an issue of trading in each other's currency, for instance, trading with each other's currencies. Buying Indian goods and paying in rand or paying in rupees instead of the dollar, for instance, or that kind of arrangement. There could be trilateral arrangements. There could be any they're free to engage one another on the sidelines of the main discussion of BRICS. Yes.
Okay, I need to ask you one or two more very important questions before we wrap up. Let's go back to the core issues. What would they look like? Just obviously, there isn't time to go through all of those core issues because that would involve all of the BRICS partners in these core issues. Earlier on, I asked you about Islamophobia in India, and you indicated that as BRICS partners get together, they don't interfere in each other's internal political issues. Someone's just sent in a question, a listener asking about the Kashmiri issue. That has been a contentious issue from the time of way back in 1948. When the partisan came about, when India and Pakistan were divided by the British colonialists, and they left behind a mess as far as the region of Kashmir is concerned. Do you think that would come onto the table at all, or would you respond exactly like you did regarding my Islamophobic issue?
Julie, we have to remember what BRICS actually is and its exact nature and what benefits that accrue from being a member of such a bloc. It's unlikely. I do not expect it that they will discuss Kashmir. But the interesting thing about BRICS is that you also have Pakistan that is now a possibility as a new member of BRICS. Right? You have such issues that are possible conversation points on the sidelines through in bilaterals. Countries are able to engage each one another and discuss some of these common issues with one another on the sidelines of the main BRICS conversation. The main BRICS discussion points would likely be on a payment system, would likely be on trade, would likely be on BRICS expansion, would likely be on the promotion of multilateralism and so on. But for a conversation such as on Kashmir, for instance, there's nothing stopping, for instance, Pakistan, even Afghanistan having a conversation, a bilateral on the sidelines with India.
Okay, point taken.
So there can be those conversations on the sidelines as well.
Okay, point taken. We're going to go for an ad break and come back to you to wrap up. And I want you to highlight a few very important core issues that will be discussed. Particularly, there's a lot of talk around a BRICS currency. I'm interested in knowing about that as well. And earlier on, when I was talking about the partition way back in 1947-48 by the British, I used the wrong term. I said partisan, but it was partition, the word that I was looking for, the partition between India and Pakistan. So let's go for that ad break and get back to you in a minute or two.
Okay.
In Salam Media.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
SANZAF's Meals Distribution Project aims to create food security for those in need. By supporting our program, you can help us in our mission to provide access to nutritious meals on a daily basis and help us extend our reach. Join SANZAF in the fight against hunger by contributing to our food security initiatives. To learn more, visit sanzaf.org.za or call 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
At Sentio, our Invest for Good philosophy is based on a genuine desire to use our investment skills for the benefit of broader society by investing responsibly, giving charitably, and developing talent that will transform the investment industry. Visit www.sentio-capital.com for more information about our Sharia investment products and start saving with us today. Sentio Capital. Invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.
One word that changes the life of a child. Orphan. One word to replace smiles with tears, confidence with anxiety, and a future with fear. Help Africa Muslims Agency to give these orphans a new word. Hope. AMA's Orphan Hope program provides security for needy children in rural Africa, in Afghanistan, and in the Syrian and Palestinian refugee camps of Lebanon. For 15,000 Rand per year, you can change their life, give them hope with Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Welcome back. 5 minutes to news on the hour at 9 o'clock, of course. We're going to be wrapping up now with our first guest of the morning, talking about the BRICS Summit. That is, of course, Mikatekiso Kubayi Researcher at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Welcome back. And let's talk about one or two of the very important core issues that's going to be discussed by all heads of state at the BRICS Summit.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julie. You will recall that more than 40 countries have expressed an interest in joining BRICS, and I think about 23 countries have officially applied to join BRICS.
Wow.
You will also recall that since the last summit, the BRICS countries have been working on criteria, modalities, protocols, for new members joining BRICS. You will also recall that there's the New Development Bank, and the New Development Bank also is a product of a lot of hard work and deliberation by the BRICS countries. And it's one of the core instruments of the BRICS for its reform and development agenda. That will be a point of discussion, as well, the requirements, the needs, the strategies, the prospects of the bank. Financing will be a point of discussion. Trade will be a point of discussion. The payment system will be a point of discussion. Remember, a payment system is a complicated thing. It's not a simple matter. It involves clearing serious transactions, major, big, large transactions in trade between countries, clearing payments between countries. It involves the acceptance of currencies, for such trade and so on. So that will, most likely be, on the table for discussion. Those are the key issues for at least this year's BRICS summit. Over and above, of course, the issue of youth unemployment or youth capacitating, young people. People-to-people exchanges. Those are the fixed ones, that are always there. Culture, people-to-people exchanges, collaborations in research, collaborations in a whole range of area, sporting, cultural, scientific, and so on. All of those issues, all of those areas are permanent and they're fixed, and they will keep, observing. Discussing progress, made in collaborations in those areas. They will discuss, all of those broad fixed areas. But the main, issues, that I think the whole world is looking at right now would be the issue of the payment system, the issue of the BRICS expansion because of their implications globally. If you're talking about the major geopolitical shifts happening right now, evidence, of such, the most big, one of the most meaningful indications of that would be this, the new members literally joining BRICS for whatever national interests, that they have for themselves. There's the demonstration of the success of the BRICS argument. The BRICS agenda, its popularity, its resonance with the whole world. That is a major, geopolitical success story for the blocs. I mean, it's the biggest thing to say since the establishment of the new development bank. It has major implications. If you consider another aspect, just alone, the application of both Iran and Saudi Arabia to join BRICS. Right? I mean, these are countries that, for the longest time had, serious issues and tensions with each other. And yet here they are, recently brokered a peace and recently normalized relations. In fact, Mohammed bin Salman has accepted an invitation to visit Iran, very soon. Both of them, are joining BRICS, and both of them are also members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization as well. So these are major, big things, that developing. Indonesia having applied to join BRICS, and a whole host of others.
Mika, sorry to interrupt you there. We have to cut off now because we need to go for the news. But very quickly, all of these other countries wanting to join BRICS does indicate that BRICS will be a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, that the Western world will not be taking the Southern Bloc countries or sniffing at them, as they did in the past, and also possibly, trying to direct them in the way they want to be directed because of their own Western agendas. So this will be truly a force to be reckoned with. But how long will it take for these other countries to be accepted as part of the BRICS nations? Will it be shortly after this summit? How long does it take to be verified and accepted as a BRICS partner?
You may well get, some announcements being made by the heads of state on who has been already accepted as a new member. Right?
Okay.
You may well, get others as membership being deferred to the next year's summit, for instance. Yeah. So 23 have officially applied. So some can be, announced this year. Others can be announced, in the next at the next summit in Russia.
Okay.
And so on. Yes.
Let's leave it there. Undoubtedly,
yes.
we're going to be talking, on an ongoing basis with all your colleagues, yourself included, at the Institute for Global Dialogue. In the coming days, we'll be touching sides a lot more. So many more questions that need to be answered. We'll go into in-depth discussions over the days. Thank you indeed for your time. You go well.
Thank you so much for having me, Ma. Thank you so much. Good day to you.
And you as well. It is 9:02, and of course, our correspondent is standing by with the bulletin of the morning. That, of course, is you, Zaid Jadwood. We'll be taking the news in a minute. Please stand by.